Here we go. Let's do this. Let's do this. Hello, everyone, and welcome once again. You just caught me. I am JT, aka the Master, and this is For No Reason. 10 a.m. on a fine Sunday morning. It's a bright, sunny day on the East Coast. I'm loving this, okay? We talk about fantasy football, people. Talk about fantasy football. And right now, my show is going to be about free agents. We're going to start off with running backs. We may wind up with wide receivers, okay? They are the main characters, other than the quarterback or tight end, okay? That is involved in fantasy football, okay? I talk about fantasy football every Sunday at this time, 10 a.m. And I'm if you're with me, I'm glad you're with me. And please come back if you so desire. And we're going to talk about fantasy football and running backs, free agents. There was a lot of movement, people, a lot of movement in players that most people didn't expect, me included. Most people didn't expect. There was roughly 8 or 9 free agents out there in running backs I'm talking about. There was more, but there were some named guys out there that the first day, they went right off the board almost instantaneously. You have to think that deals were in place. You're not supposed to be. The tampering rule is that new league year was March 14th. The tampering day was March 11th, which is Monday, and the new league year was what? No, I'm sorry, the 14th. It was the 13th. It was the Wednesday. Okay. So you would have to think that because these guys went off the board so quickly, that common sense would tell you that there was some talk. And you could put it this way. An agent calls a team and says, hypothetically, now that's not, that's just hypothetically. Okay, hypothetically, if my client was to get offered X amount for X amount of years, would you agree to it? Hypothetically speaking. And that's, to me, I don't know if that took place. I don't know if that would be legal, but the fact is that these running backs got taken off the board very quickly. And I would have to think that you would think that there was some talk ahead of the legal time. You would have to think because these guys went so quickly. But I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it. And let's do this. And I'm going to start with number 9, okay, which is Devin Singletary. But this is all relevant to fantasy, okay? It is relevant to fantasy, relative, quite naturally, to real life. Talking about Devin Singletary for the Giants. He went to the Giants because of what took place with another running back, who I'll get to, that went to the Texans. Devin Singletary was a free agent that played for the Texans last season. And he did a decent job. It wasn't an outstanding job, but the Giants needed a veteran running back. They wanted a veteran running back. And once I go through these lists of players, running backs that went to various teams, you can understand why the pickings were slim for the Giants. Now, their best player was a running back, Saquon Barkley. Quite naturally, Saquon was not going to get franchise tag. They said they were going to franchise tag him, and they didn't. Okay? And he went elsewhere. I will get to that. He signed with the Giants on March 11th, which was a Monday. The tampering, I wouldn't say tampering, the so-called earliest time that you could sign a player or agree to an agreement, because it can't be signed until the new league starts, which was on Wednesday. Okay. So, but he agreed with an agreement. Agreement was came with the Devin Singletary and the Giants. Okay. Giants have to improve their offensive line. And they have to greatly improve the offensive line. Daniel Jones can't seem to stay healthy because he's always getting hit. He was one of the most sack players or hit players in the NFL. The offensive line was terrible. Terrible. Okay? First and foremost, the Giants have to improve their offensive line. And Devin Singletary, in my opinion, will not be an effective back because the Giants' offense is not all that, including with the quarterback that's going to come back from injury, is Daniel Jones. They signed Drew Lock. Okay. Is Drew Lock going to compete with Daniel Jones to get the starting job? We don't know. I kind of doubt it. Daniel Jones has got a huge contract. Got a huge contract. I think it's $34 million or something like that. Something crazy. $40 million, whatever it is. Something crazy. He's not worth it. Okay, but they signed it because I don't know why they signed it. Let me put it that way. They franchise tag and tried to franchise tag Saquon, and they signed a Daniel Jones. Really? Really? Didn't make any sense to me. And people complain about Deshaun Watson contract. And then you get Daniel Jones to get a contract like that. People don't really say too much. Come on, man. I understand about the Cleveland Browns and that contract with Deshaun Watson, but Deshaun Watson is a hell of a lot better player than Daniel Jones. Come on, man. Really? Okay. Somebody has to be the first. Deshaun Watson was the first. Okay. And he took all the slack, including my Cleveland Browns, took all the flack that came with it. Okay. It is what it is. But there's always the first. Somebody has to be the first to be the sacrificial lamb, and that is what will happen. Okay? All right, let's move on to the next one. Okay. And we'll talk about these. Let's talk about, man, this guy. I said he wasn't going to be all that last season because of different circumstances besides his age 28, besides a new coach, besides a different offensive coordinator. Not a new coach, but a different offensive coordinator. And I just think his productivity wasn't going to be all that. And it wasn't. Okay. Now, he was one of the most complete backs of his era. He can still help a team on passing downs. Now, he has clearly diminished explosiveness. And that's probably not going to come back. Austin Eckler, I'm talking about. He signed with the Washington Commanders on a 2-year deal worth up to $11.43 million on the same day, March 11th. That's what, I'm talking about these players and running backs in particular right now that got signed on the first day. And I mean, they flew off the board. And let me put it this way. They say the running back position has been diminished. They say it has been downplayed. Really? Really? When all these running backs went that quick off the board. Really? That gives me pause to think that I've been saying all along the key to an offense is the running back. Besides the quarterback, the key to the offense is the running back. And people say, well, they are downplaying the running back position. They are trying to go on the cheap with running back and get value. Not value, but cheap out the running back position, shortchange the running backs. And in that case, then why sign all these running backs the first day that they could? The first day they could, they signed all these running backs. Some got really nice deals. Some got decent deals. Not mind blowing. Austin Eckler, 11.43 over 2 seasons. Okay, but you're not getting Austin Eckler from 2 seasons ago, or 3 seasons, 4 seasons ago. You're not getting that. He's 29 years old. That tread on the tire is worn. I tried to tell people last season, it's worn. You use a running back that's up in age, 28, 29, 30, and we'll get to that. It's worn. It's worn. You only have so many runs in your legs. And just like all of us, I'm almost 70 years old. Just like all of us, we have a tendency to slow down as we get older. Running backs are human. They're not machines. They get older, they have a tendency to slow down. At being explosive at 23, 24 is not the same as if you're 28, 29, 30 and over. It's not the same. It can't. It's physically impossible. Okay? Physically, Father Time catches up with you. Father Time catches up with you. Plain and simple. Okay? And Austin Eckler is at the end of his career. 2 years. He's 29 now. Next season, he'll be 30. That's it. That's it. That's it. Okay? That's all I'm saying. And I like it whenever whenever someone comes on my program to be live, not just a emoji. Okay? Not just an emoji. Because I feel that's disrespectful. Every time I come on, I'm live. I don't put a picture up there. I'm live. Plain and simple. Because I want to be seen and heard. Plain and simple. Seen and then also heard. Because it's more effective if you're seen. You can get all your emotions, your expressions, and out rather than just showing an emoji or a picture up there. But I'm gonna bring my co-host on here, even though I'm not agreeing with what I'm saying. But I'm gonna bring him on here just to get his opinion, even though I'm not going to get anything else. Mr. FSP. No, he's not the king, but whatever.
I am the king.
Yeah, all right.
And just to be, you know, clear here,
Yeah.
you attack before I even come on the air. You
I'll ta-
attack.
I'll tag you on air. I don't care.
It's okay. It's okay. Just understand. You set the tone for how the conversation goes.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes, and it's going to be hostile because you want to be hostile. So I don't know what you just said about whoever being 29 and 30 or whatever. So I missed that. And again, to be clear, uh, there's a reason why there is no live shot right now. But you don't know and you don't care, which is fine. You just want to be belligerent and just
Look, this is.
attack.
Let
You
me
want to attack.
let me
You just
say.
want to attack. You have
Let me
no idea why I am not with a live picture right now. But
let
that's
me
okay.
let me just say
You're
this.
being belligerent.
Let
It's
me
okay.
let me just say this, and this is my show. Let me just say this.
Yes, it is.
Every show that I appear on somebody else's show, I'm in live and in living color.
With attitude. With attitude. Don't forget that part.
Wait a minute. Doesn't make a
With
difference
attitude. Yeah, exactly.
wait a minute because I believe, and I just said I believe in being live and in living color and being able to get my expressions along with my uh, attitude, so to speak, out.
Yeah, that's what you believe in doing. I don't have that uh desire to show my face the way I am right now.
Look,
There is no desire.
understand something.
There is no desire for me to
This
do
is
that.
understand something. There's parameters that you have on your show that I follow, and there's parameters on my show that I expect you to follow.
Okay,
Okay.
so I'm glad you said that. So from now on, you are not allowed to sit back and just fold your arms. You're not allowed to have a sourpuss face. You're not allowed to out talk me when you do, because you do that all the time. But do I tee you up and say, hey, here comes the guy that's always angry, never listens, always argues, no matter what? Do I introduce you like that? No. Do I put a only thing I'd say for you is, hey, get to your point. That's all I say. Stick to the subject. I don't, you know, land base you before you even come on the air. In
Well,
fact, what do I do?
you know
What do I
what?
do?
Let
I
me put it
always
this
big
way.
up you. I big up you.
Let me just
I
say
big up
this.
you
Let me
before you
just
come
say
on the
this.
air. But it's okay. It's okay.
I'm laying the groundwork for future. Okay.
Oh,
That's
well.
exactly what I'm saying. I'm
So
laying
so
the groundwork for future.
so you
Okay.
do that live on the air, right? Okay, I remember that when you do that live on air. That's how you do that. That's very, as you would say, unprofessional. But it's okay because I guess a professional show does that live on air. I
Anyway,
no. I mean
anyway,
that's what you said.
here we go.
You gonna get
I
attitude.
was talking about Austin Eckler. Okay. And Austin Eckler having diminished explosiveness and probably his skill set isn't coming back from a few years back. Being 29 years old, he had a 2-year contract and was a little over $11 million on that 2-year contract, and he'd be 30 years old and more than likely won't be playing for the Washington Commanders next season.
Yeah, he won't be. It's a stopgap situation unless he finds a way to um, find the fountain of youth. It's a stopgap situation. He's going to mentor. Listen, Austin Eckler and many of the signings on the Commanders are short-term deals. They're trying to bring in what culture and what impact players that they can for a year or two as they develop their younger folks. That's what Austin Eckler is. Antonio Gibson, had a fumbling problem, right? So they already had a two running back system. When Austin Eckler comes in, he is literally a fantasy number one overall pick at least 2 times in the past 5 years. He has lost a step. Well, I don't say he's lost a step. We can't say that really because last year Brandon Staley didn't use him as much. I mean, you can
Didn't use him.
you can see that he did not get used that much. He was out 3-4 games, but when he was healthy, which was the majority of the season, Brandon Staley decided to go running back by committee, a 3-headed monster, not even a 2-headed monster. And when they did use him, what did they do? They threw the ball to him. They didn't run him that much. So, I mean, I get it. Up there in age, he had a injury history. There's a big running back sitting behind him in Brandon Robinson, who is an animal. But two solid running backs in this system works. He's experienced. I say he's there for the experience and Robinson to learn from while both still play. He's a mentor, so to speak, a mentor. And he said all the right things. He's hey, I don't know if you saw the introductory or even heard the introductory interview, but he's saying all the right things as a professional, and he's looking to do the right things.
Okay. And I'll just say that there was a reason why he wasn't used the way people were thinking he was going to be used, because
the head coach was a jerk, and that's why he got fired.
Well, besides that, I think he had diminished skills last season, and that's why they weren't going to use him as much as people had expected. Which I had said that I didn't think he was going to be used, especially with the new offensive coordinator, who is not a running back friendly offensive coordinator. Anyway, let's move on.
That was not right.
Let's
Especially
move on.
when he did that with Jamal Charles. But okay.
Let's move on to another running back who happens to be 30 years old. And I think beginning of the next year, early part of next year, he's going to be at 31. A plus starter with a unique skill set who can take his side of the ball to another level on a short-term deal. I'm talking about Derrick Henry. Signed with the Baltimore Ravens for 2 years, $16 million. That has a max value of $20 million, includes $9 million guaranteed. And he signed that a day after the legal tampering, which was the 12th. Okay. All these running backs went quick. Okay. And that tells me that even though people try to shortchange running backs in salary wise, that they're valued, that they're highly valued, at more than most people think. Because the fact is, most of the players that got contracts quickly were running backs. And then other players fell into place. You get a quarterback here and there, but there was a lot of running backs taken quickly in the beginning of free agency or the tampering, whatever you want to call it. Derrick Henry, 30 years old, soon to be 31 in a 8 months, whatever, has diminished skills. If Derrick Henry was what Mr. FSP has called himself, the king, okay, he wouldn't have got a 2-year contract, $16 million, $8 million a year. He wouldn't have got that. He would have got something substantially higher. Okay? They got him on the cheap. The Dallas Cowboys didn't want anything to do with him. They never called him. How many other teams called? We don't know that for sure. But a 2-year, $16 million probably was the best Derrick Henry could do. Okay? He's on a run-oriented offense. Okay. That runs the ball a lot. Okay. For a reason, because of the quarterback. Okay. But he is on a 2-year, $16 million contract that can go to $20 million and $9 million guaranteed. That's chump change. Really? For a running back, supposedly of his hire, the king? Come on. No, his value, okay. His value is going to come at the goal line. Okay. That's what his value is going to come at. And if he can stay healthy, and I'm not saying he won't be healthy, and I'm not saying he's going to be healthy, because I do believe when you get up in age and you're a big running back, you're a big target on the field. And the bigger the target, the more likely that you are going to get hurt. Okay? The last time Derrick Henry played 2 seasons ago, I think it was 2 seasons ago, if I'm not mistaken. I told that Derrick Henry was going to get hurt at a certain time in a certain week, and that's exactly what happened. Okay? I'm telling people this season, if you think Derrick Henry is the king, you're playing the Game of Thrones, and he's not going to be able to sit on that throne. Okay, you'll see the throne, and you think Derrick Henry's going to sit on that? No, he ain't going to be the king. The king is ding dong. The king is dead. I'll say that, Mr. FSP. I know that's why you put that on there. I'm talking. Derrick Henry is no longer the king. Talk to me.
Let me clear up your false narrative yet again, because it's inaccurate yet again. $8 million is the going rate for all of the running backs right now. Only 2 starting running backs at this present time have double-digit salaries. Saquon Barkley at $13 million a year, and Christian McCaffrey at like 13, 14 million a year. Every other running back, to include all the running backs outside of Saquon that signed this year, are making $8 million and some change or less. That includes Josh Jacobs. So I guess all the running backs are making chump change and aren't worth anything, according to what you just said. Because again, you're showing a bias against a man for whatever reason, whatever. But to lead off by saying he's making chump change, that means all running backs, except for 2, are making chump change, according to you. So he might not be, Derrick Henry might not be what he was 3 years ago. That's fine. But even if he's average at 6'3", 6'4", 250, with Lamar Jackson as his quarterback in that system, he can be a very powerful weapon to be used. People are still scared of the big 250-pounder. He might not break it for a 90-yard touchdown like he's done in the past, but you did say something that was very, I think, I'm not going to say accurate because neither one of us knows, but I think the Kayvon Mitchell kid that got hurt at the middle of the season, I think when he comes back, he's going to have an impact because he's their speed guy. Derrick Henry is the power. He is the power back. And we'll see what happens. But again, $8 million, between 8 and 9 is the going rate for all the running backs. DeAndre Swift, 7 and some change. Austin Eckler, 8. Aaron Jones, 8.
Austin Eckler got a little more than $5 million a year.
Well,
2-year contract.
Okay, that's fine. But like I said, the going rate was 8 for all running backs outside of Saquon Barkley in the free agent market, and only 2 running backs are making double digits. Period. So when you lead off like that, which is a false narrative, you make it seem like, okay, well, they only gave him that money because he's a bum, he's washed. No, that would say that all the running backs in the NFL except for 2 are washed and bums, based upon your logic and what you just said. So, I mean, you're entitled to your opinion, but I mean, if you're gonna put it out there like that, you got to know that you're wrong. I'm not even trying to be right. It's just you're plain wrong.
All right, let's move on. Thank you for your opinion. All right, let's move on to the next guy. I'm gonna talk about DeAndre Swift, age 25. All right, he showed he was a tougher power runner with more durability than he ever was in Detroit. The question is, can he do it again? Now he signed a deal, 3 years, $24 million, $8 million a year. Okay, with the Chicago Bears. The problem is this, people. This is the problem. You have Khalil Herbert and Roshan Johnson, and Khalil Herbert say 3, 4, 5-year vet. Roshan Johnson's going into the second year. Okay, but then you got that DeAndre Swift. It's the 3-headed monster. It's a 3-headed monster. That coaching staff uses all 3 backs. How effective is DeAndre Swift going to be? Is he going to be the alpha in this backfield and get the majority of the carries? Or is he going to be a 3-way split? You don't know that. You have to see what's going to happen early. That's the problem here. I mean, they signed him, and they still have Khalil Herbert and Roshan Johnson on the roster, and they use them. Okay? So, in my opinion, they for a committee back to be paid $8 million. Thank you. And that's from DeAndre Swift's agent. Thank you. Okay? Because you're not going to be using my back as often because you have 3 backs you use all 3. So he's going to get what, spot duty? Or is he going to get 15 carries and the other 2 are going to get 10 apiece or whatever? Because they're going to have a rookie quarterback. So they're going to want to run the football. Okay? So who's the alpha? And I'll repeat that. Who's the alpha? That's a problem. I mean, God bless him, he got that money. But fantasy-wise, he's a huge question mark. Talk to me.
You gave it to me?
I said, talk to me.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what you said. I thought you still saying it was a liability. I say this. The man is exactly what he was in Philadelphia. He didn't win the starting job from Kenneth Gainwell, but Kenneth Gainwell came up injured and never left the starting lineup. That's what happened with DeAndre Swift. If Khalil Herbert doesn't make that type of money, Roshan Johnson does not make that type of money, they gave it to DeAndre Swift. Obviously, they feel as though that he is worth it and going to have an impact. Otherwise, they would have given Herbert a lot of money, who was out for most of the year, or Roshan Johnson, who, when he had his opportunity to be the lead back, failed miserably. And I will say this. He failed miserably for 2 reasons, in my opinion. He had 2 different quarterbacks, and then he had Dante Foreman sitting behind him, who was exactly what they wanted. A power back that can catch a little bit. So Roshan Johnson is an afterthought. Anybody that wants him, they can have him. He's just going to be sitting on their bench as a waste. Because when you let Dante Foreman come in and take your job, you either you haven't developed enough, the scouts were wrong, or people who believed he was good were wrong. Because the kid didn't show up when he needed to, over and over and over again. So, could it be a committee? I think Herbert might come in there a little bit, but Swift can catch the ball. So I don't see, them taking him out just because they want to throw. I think it's maybe a 70-30 split as long as DeAndre Swift stays healthy. But Roschon Johnson, he's third on the pecking order. He's a special teamer at this point. He might get another opportunity to prove that he's NFL worthy, but anybody that thought he was worth anything, I'd question what they, what they think, because you got a body of work now. Let me put it that way. Before, you only had a college body of work, but now you have a professional body of work, and it's not good. For me, fantasy-wise, stay away from him. He's third on that list and probably not going to see the field that much.
Okay. Let's move on to another guy. I still say he has some juice. I'm surprised that he moved from one team. Not surprised that the same team in the division decided to sign him, because I think he still has some juice. If you don't think so, you just watch him and look at the last season down the stretch. Now, quite naturally, his challenge, like all these running backs, is staying healthy. And he's best used probably in a complementary role. I'm talking about Aaron Jones, 29 years old, signed a 1 year, $7 million Minnesota Vikings contract. That was, let me put it this way. Minnesota Vikings are going to draft a running back. Okay, this is just, I don't know if it's what you call them, a stopgap, but this is just they draft a running back. Probably, like I said before, there's no running backs that are first-round talents in here. So they draft a running back on the second or third day that is probably going to be used along with Aaron Jones with the Minnesota Vikings. And it's going to be a back similar, in my opinion, to Aaron Jones. Okay, because they need a versatile running back. Because of the type of offense the Minnesota Vikings use, they need a running back that can quite naturally run the football and also be able to catch the football out of the backfield. That's the type of offense they run. So they want to be able to have a versatile running back. And I think someone in the second or third day of the NFL draft, later in April, is going to be on the Minnesota Vikings. I had named a couple of guys that I think would work out well with the Minnesota Vikings and may even take over the job. Who knows? But if you sign Aaron Jones for $7 million, I would think for 1 year, I think he would be the main back this year. And whoever they draft in this year's draft would take over the following year. Mr. FSP, your thoughts on Aaron Jones being a fantasy relevant running back for the Minnesota Vikings?
I think it's actually a good deal here. The money's right. His talent's there. He had some nagging hamstring injuries last year. He's literally, outside of Ty Chandler, the only back on the roster. Yep. Because the what's his name? Matson experiment was a failure. A complete, utter failure. And I'm sorry for those that drafted him last year. I told you guys on this show and on my show that he was a waste. Don't even touch him. I mean, some people thought he was going to do well. Apparently the organization thought he was going to do well. But in Aaron Jones, you get that Dalvin Cook style of running back. He's going to catch the ball, he's going to block, He's going to run the ball. He's going to find open spaces. And the difference is there really isn't anybody to spell him that has proven that they can, run at the NFL level. Ty Chandler had the opportunity to be the lead back too. What happened with him? Nothing. They brought in another back. So, in Green Bay, Aaron Jones had Big Dylan to cut into his touches. So I would say he's probably, outside of that injury with the hamstrings, he probably has fresher legs. I think he has fresher legs. And you add him, Addison, you mentioned the tight end yesterday. I forgot his name that quick.
T.J. Hawkinson.
Yeah, T.J. Hawkinson. And it looks like they're trying to move up to get a quarterback. I think if they are successful in getting their quarterback, and the rumor, as I said yesterday, was they were attempting to make a trade with the Chargers to get Herbert, that would be dangerous. I think you can rely on Aaron Jones to be a running back too. Or, your second running back taken. In that offense, and with the weapons they have, Sam Darnold could bring them down if they don't get a decent quarterback. But I believe Aaron Jones will be a running back too this year with all that he can do. And in that system. He's perfect for that system, actually. So that's it.
All right, my next one is a big question mark for me. A huge question mark for me. I don't even know why they drafted, they signed this guy. And they waited, they signed him like the day that the tampering period, so to speak, was the first day that you were able to have agreement. I'm talking about Tony Pollard, 27 years old, probably best used with about 200 touches, and he's best used as a pass catcher, and he could be an explosive addition to any offense. But the Tennessee Titans, really? 3 years, $24 million. Come on, man. The Tennessee Titans? Now, to me, who's going to be the lead back? Who knows? Who knows on that? I mean, you would think that the years and the money dictate who's the lead back, and that's the case. Then the back that stayed and Derrick Henry left is going. His value is going to be diminished. His value is going to be diminished because the fact that you bring in this guy, which put red flags for me, red flags that had Tyjae Spears going to be the lead back, and you bring in Tony Pollard with this type of contract. It's very confusing to me. I wouldn't say mind-boggling, but it's very confusing that this is probably one of the, in my opinion, a big head-scratcher signing for the Tennessee Titans. Talk to me.
So, so far, 2 of the 3 running backs that made $8 million this offseason have been mentioned. Derrick Henry, Tony Pollard, and I don't know if you've talked about Josh Jacobs yet, but they paid him top-tier money for the position this year because they're changing the offense. The offense is going to be a more pass-happy offense. We talked about this, a couple weeks ago, where Mike Vrabel wanted to just ground and pound, and it was clashing with what the front office wanted to do for the team, so on and so forth. When you pay Calvin Ridley $92 million, you pay Tony Pollard $24 million. You still got DeAndre Hopkins. You got the tight end, I can't pronounce his name. I'm looking at how they're going to use him, because you pretty much got a carbon copy back. Tajay Spears and Pollard are pretty much the same, except I believe Tajay Spears has a little bit more power. He has a little bit more power. He's a little bit more shifty, but he has no ACLs. And he's still better than Tony Pollard. That's weird to do this signing, like you said. But I think they just want to go up tempo. And they want to throw the ball with Will Levis. A big change from, Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry, ground and pound, chuck and duck. So that's all.
Right.
Nothing big.
All right, people. Let me just say this before I go any further. I was going to say it yesterday, and I said I was going to hold it until today. The reason I'm holding it to today is this. I think in fantasy, especially this year, especially what teams are lining up to do with the personnel moves that they are making, that it's going to be more of a passing, explosive type of offenses that they're looking to do. I understand they sign all these running backs, but what I see lining up in fantasy that's going to be more valuable is wide receivers. And it takes a lot for me to say that, but I'm saying what I see in fantasy that's going to be more valuable on wide receivers. Now, I'm not downplaying or ignoring running backs because they're still effective in fantasy. But what I'm seeing this year is that the wide receivers, those that are in the league right now and those that are coming into the league as rookies, are going to be more valuable in fantasy and more aplenty in fantasy. That's how I see it right now. Let's move on to the next running back. 4 years, $48 million, 26 years old. Look more like his 2022 form by the end of the season. He's excellent at making defenders miss and is an underrated receiver, although his roller coaster career arc is cause for concern. I'm talking about Josh Jacobs, who signed a 4-year, $48 million deal, which is $12 million a year. That's what I'm talking about with the Green Bay Packers. Josh Jacobs, 26 years old, over the last 2 seasons, has shown he's a big-time, could be the new king, the big-time back that, and more versatile, because he can catch the ball out of the backfield. Okay? Even though in the Raiders, they didn't use him in the passing game. In Green Bay, he took the place of Aaron Jones. Guarantee you he'll get more touches in the passing game. Guarantee he'll get more touches, I'll say again, in the passing game. With a young quarterback, with those young weapons that they have on the outside, and the type of offense that the head coach / offensive coordinator likes to run, this guy is set to. I mean, you thought he was good when he had 1,600 yards a couple of seasons ago. You thought he was good last season. He's just touching the tip of the iceberg. Touching the tip of the iceberg. When he goes to Green Bay, they're going to use him all over the field. Josh Jacobs is going to be a fantasy stud in the running back position. Talk to me, Mr. FSP.
Josh Jacobs, the other guy that made double digits. So there are 3. I was mistaken. But 2 in the free agency market. You got to wonder why they didn't give it to Aaron Jones. I would say probably because of his age.
29 years old, yep.
And, they're trying trend a little younger with this team because it's a very, I think it is the youngest team in the NFL.
Yes, it is.
This is a dynamite signing because AJ Dillon is not being brought back. It's his show, and whatever rookie or young back they have, I believe they got maybe one or two from last year that came in and did decently. Who can spell them? Fantasy wise, I gotta see if they throw him the ball. The biggest turn on for a Green Bay running back, and it's gone Dorsey Levens, Aaron Jones, and you can go on and on and on with the different running backs that they've had. They've been able to catch the ball out the backfield. They've been used as pass receivers, a lot of screens. Josh Jacobs isn't known for that. So that's the intriguing part about Josh Jacobs to me, being a possible late first, early second round pick, because you know he's going to run the rock. But if they mix in the pass receiving with him, oh, he's going to be a top 10 fantasy player. Top 10. Because you add in a PPR the receptions along with the rushing and touchdowns, there's no way you can deny that, you know, he's a top tier back in fantasy and in real life. But again, you have to see if they stick with throwing the ball to the running back. I mean, he's worth the money. He is worth the money on the ground. Let's see if he's worth the money through the air and ground now. So, you know, it was a good pickup. Well, I don't know if I would have paid him, you know, over 12 a year.
In my opinion, they would not have signed Josh Jacobs to the type of contract just for his running ability. And they would sign him so they can use him just like they use Aaron Jones. And they use Aaron Jones out wide, and Aaron Jones made all kinds of catches going down the field. And they're going to use Josh Jacobs in the same light, just with younger legs. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. Okay. Last and not foremost, but last, and I don't say, okay, I say foremost, because I think that this is a, for lack of a better word, a monster ready to be unleashed. It's the Incredible Hulk coming out. It's David Banner or whoever is, you don't want to make me angry type of guy. And I'm talking about Saquon Barkley.
I'm about to say, because I didn't make the NFL, but continue.
What?
No, I was saying, I thought you were describing me.
Oh,
you know, you don't want to make me angry.
Yeah.
Or the Incredible Hulk comes out.
Yeah, okay, whatever. Anyway, Barkley performed better than last year's numbers, indicated playing smarter than he did earlier in his career. He had the complete game that could put an offense over the top. Okay. Signed with the Philadelphia Eagles on a 3-year, $37.75 million contract with $25.5 million guaranteed, fully guaranteed. And he signed it just when the Tampa. This is, you know, teams supposedly, the media saying the teams are downplaying running backs. And, well, if you're downplaying, and I'll say this again, if you're downplaying running backs and you don't think running backs are relevant or as relevant, you don't sign when you be able to sign free agents. You hurry up and sign 8, 9 of the top running backs as soon as you can. You rush to sign them. The first time anybody can and agree to a contract in the NFL before the new year starts was March 11th. Majority of these running backs signed March 11th. I mean, agreed to a terms March 11th. So there's a lot of if they're not as relevant as that supposedly some teams think, then why sign these guys right away? Why not wait? Or you're afraid that somebody else is going to sign them. Okay. That means teams are thinking these running backs are extremely important. Okay. You may want to shortchange them, but you know how important the running back position is. That's why they signed all these running backs or agreed to terms for running back before the new league year starts. So Saquon Barkley, $37.75 million with $25.5 guaranteed. Over $12 million, damn near $13 million a year for a 27-year-old running back that was being held back, in my opinion, by the New York Giants and their shortcomings on the offensive line, on the receiving corps, and the quarterback. He was their offense. He's going to be an additional piece to that explosive Philadelphia offense now. Mr. FFP, give me your thoughts.
Out the gate, he becomes the number 2, if not number 1 fantasy running back this year. He becomes the number 1 or number 2 fantasy running back this year.
Okay.
The reason why I can't say number 1 right now is because CMC is still in that system and he flourishes in it, and they still have some of the linemen. They still got the same quarterback. May not have the same receivers, but CMC is that dude. Just like Austin Eckler was like a 1B a year or so ago to CMC, Saquon is going to be a monster. If you think DeAndre Swift numbers were good last year, which they were, just imagine Saquon Barkley numbers in that system where they're going to run him, throw him the ball, and you still got to worry about Jalen Hurts running. You still got to worry about Jalen Hurts throwing it to Dallas Goedert, A.J. Brown, Smith, and whoever else they get. This is a perfect match for Saquon and any fantasy owner. If he's not the second running back taken off the board, there's a problem. People don't understand how to play fantasy. They really don't, because of, if you, for instance, I'll just put this up there. Let's say you like Jonathan Taylor, which I do. I like Jonathan Taylor. But Jonathan Taylor should not be taken before Saquon Barkley now that he's in this system and will be used a lot more or
more effectively.
More effectively than what the Giants did. Because if he can do all that with the Giants and had nothing, and they stacking a box against him, what's he going to do when there's a light box? Unlike Jonathan Taylor, who's going to have only one receiver in Pittman and his returning quarterback, who's, for all intents and purposes, still a rookie. Now, he's going to be a running rookie threat, and Taylor will have some opportunities there. But Saquon is the number 2 running back off the board if you understand fantasy football. That's what I think about it.
All right, people. We're all done. We're all set for this week. All right. I want to thank Mr. FSP for showing up and contributing to the show. Appreciate it. I also want to say that next week we'll be talking about wide receivers. Didn't get a chance to do it. I'm not going to do it right now. We'll talk about free agent wide receivers and their relevancy to fantasy. 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, X, Facebook, YouTube is where you find me. It's For No Reason, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every Sunday morning. We talk about it. Mr. FSP, will you be on the show on Saturday?
Saturday, yes. Again, NCAA's will be the talk. Outside of discussing the 3 pro days of Drake May, Jalen Daniels, and Michael Penix, I plan to talk about and whatever news comes up in the NFL. But those are my topics.
Oakland lost to.
Oh, I know. I saw
in double
overtime.
Double overtime, yeah.
Double overtime.
Yep.
There was a couple in overtime because
it was overtime. Yeah. Okay.
Creighton beat Oregon in double overtime.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. But anyway, yes. Next Saturday, this Saturday coming up, which will be the 30th.
Yes.
The intent is to talk about that, and I might even talk about a trip to Africa. I just might talk about a trip to Africa. Okay. I'm gonna see if I can get permission to do that.
Okay.
But anyway,
okay,
that's it.
Okay, and also, people, Grand Canyon is playing today.
They're gonna lose.
Grand Canyon is playing today. Just remember I said that. Okay, I could be wrong, could be right, but I do like Grand Canyon. If not to win the game, to cover the spread. Okay, I do like that. I don't know if it's gonna pan out, but my last 2 thoughts did work out, but didn't play them. Unfortunately, I should have, but I didn't. Anyway, I do like Grand Canyon. I don't call out too many teams, but I do like Grand Canyon. I think they may be, unlike Oakland, they may be a Cinderella team that most people aren't looking at. You don't win 30 games and only lose 5 by accident. So I'm just saying.
No. If you looked at the group chat, I put in there that you're not the only person to feel that way. George has them going to the Elite 8.
Ooh.
So George has them advancing like you do, beating Alabama. Some of the Vegas folks have changed the spread from 5.5 to like 4.
Okay.
And some change.
Okay.
So there is some validity, at least speculation, into them being a legit team to go to the Elite 8. So there's a shot, apparently. But I've seen them disappoint me when they lost. One of those 5 losses was to a team that like is a new college or something like that. So,
well, I mean, teams, some teams, I wouldn't say all teams, but there's always when you have a loss or 3 or 4 on your record, there's always one that's going to be a head scratcher. Whether it doesn't make a difference whether it's in college or it's in pro sports, there's always going to be one that you scratch your head and say, "How the heck did they lose to that?" I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. That they're not machines; they're human, and things happen. I mean, bad shooting night, taking a team for granted because of their name and not because of what they kind of talent they have. It is what it is. Anyway, people.
I got a question. A question before you go.
Go ahead.
Women's basketball happening today. Who do you like outside of LSU, the obvious number 1 seed going against the 16? But who do you like today?
Who do I like? You talking about women's basketball? You talking about?
Yeah, women's college basketball.
Okay, all right.
That's your sport, right? I mean, it is. That's the one you like, right?
That's the one I like. I'm not saying I watch it every day, but that's the one I like. Yes. Let me put it this way.
Actually, LSU is the number 3 seed.
Yeah, they're not up there. Yeah, they're not up there like they were before, last year. They're not quite there. I'm trying to think what team. Let me look here. Yes.
Don't sweat it. Go ahead and get off the show because I know you're 5 minutes over your time.
Anyway, people, it's next week, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Look forward to that. Look forward to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Mr. FSP, the Fantasy Sports and Politics Show, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on a Saturday afternoon, 10 a.m. Pacific Time. Be there, be square. See ya. It's been real. See ya, people. Peace.